So conventional dual screen setups will always have a monitor up there and maybe a laptop. But in this case, you can have two screens down here and carry it with you, so you can do work up here, here, and also down here. So the laptop we're talking about today is the ASUS ZenBook Pro Duo. So in this beautifully crafted aluminum design lies the ScreenPad Plus, which is probably the main highlight of this laptop here. So if you guys have seen our ZenBook Pro review, you guys would have known that there was a screen pad in that design and it gave you a second display on the touchpad area. So that was a pretty small screen, and to be honest, we would say that the implementation was not nearly as mature. This time for the ZenBook Pro Duo is called the ScreenPad Plus and is definitely a lot more mature. In place of all that clunkiness, now there's a very simple way for you to use both screens at the same time. For example, you can just press on the application and it will come out a short like prompt which allows you to either expand the app through both screens or send it down to the lower screen, or if it's on the lower screen you can send it back up to the main screen, or you can just add it to a shortcut on the ScreenPad application which lets you open it directly on the ScreenPad itself. In addition to the very mature software implementation, the hardware has also been improved to such a point that it's a lot more usable. Instead of the first ScreenPad which had like a very small, because it's just a touchpad area, now it spans the whole width of the laptop and the resolution is also very high. So seeing text on the ScreenPad Plus is actually a lot more comfortable now because of the 4K resolution. Yes, it's 4K and it also supports touch and whatnot. So the implementation also allows you to split the screen into like 3 segments, so you can open 3 apps on it. For example, the pre-installed ones are Spotify, my ASUS, but you can always add on, like I mentioned, you can just pin them into a shortcut onto the smaller screen. So that really opens up a lot of avenues of exploration, aside from the fact that you can just expand your main screen into the second screen at the bottom here. So for example, stuff like Photoshop, or Photoshop probably not, but Premiere Pro will definitely benefit from this because of the way that timeline is at the bottom of the screen, and you can expand it and have the timeline on the lower part and use the main screen for like the main color editing and whatnot. Another addition to this ScreenPad Plus is the stylus support. The previous implementation of the ScreenPad, the first one on the ZenBook Pro, had a very weird issue where you could not use the stylus on the second screen, but you could on the main screen. Now the ASUS ZenBook Pro Duo supports it on both screens, allowing you to have like signatures or just draw on the second screen instead of like having to touch the main screen with a pen. So this, while probably not so beneficial for us people who are untalented in drawing, but those who are, I think they will definitely benefit from this. Or for those people who actually need to like do digital signatures, it works too, because yeah, you can sign on that ScreenPad area, which is now, like I mentioned, a lot bigger. So just to wrap up a bit about the ScreenPad, I would say that I really like where the ScreenPad Plus is going, and I would love to see what ASUS can bring more to the ScreenPad technology. But that is not all that's good about the ASUS ZenBook Pro Duo. ZenBook Pro Duo also comes with flagship specifications like i7-9750H and also a RTX 2060, so you can definitely game on this. Although you'll probably have to dial down the settings in the game because obviously the RTX 2060 will not be able to handle the 4K resolution. Yes, the display here is a 4K display and it's an OLED panel too, so you get the pretty blacks that you expect from an OLED panel. Because obviously with the OLED panel, only the pixels that are showing color will light up, while the rest of it stays black. So with this display, you also get DCI-P3 100% coverage, which gives you that ability to edit videos in the white DCI-P3 color gamut, giving you that visual impact that you need. And there's only one little issue with the screen, is that it features a glass cover, so it's reflective. You might not want to use this outdoors because of the reflections, which will be kind of difficult to work with if you have sun behind you or something. But with the weight of this laptop, you probably might not be planning on bringing it out too much either, because it has a 2.5 kg curb weight. Now, speaking of not bringing it out too much, you would probably expect it to have capabilities of docking and expandability, and yes, it does. It supports Thunderbolt 3, which gives you ability to connect for extra monitors, or if you want to connect to external GPU, it's all supported. Now, I would love to see more USB ports on it, but the 2 USB ports here are USB 3.1 ports, which give you 10 gigabit per second transfer speeds, and I believe they should suffice, and if you just throw in a bit more hubs, I think you have more than enough. Now, I think the reason why there are so few ports on this laptop is probably because of the way they designed the cooling of this laptop. Instead of like a typical design where you have the intakes at the bottom and the exhaust out the back, this one has a pretty interesting way where they intake in through the bottom and the back, but exhaust it through the sides, which you can see the vents are on the sides here, they're pretty substantial. And this system, from my testing, has been very silent. You barely can hear it even under heavy loads like running the 3D Mark x Pi benchmarks or even Port Royal. But the laptop does get quite toasty. I have observed temperatures of about 96 degrees, and when I ran in Cinebench, I observed temperatures of around 96 Celsius, and it actually throttled down to around 3.0 GHz, which is quite a far cry from the 4 point something GHz that the processor is capable of at full tilt. So yeah, you're not getting the full power out of it, but actually you aren't suffering much because you still get a very powerful 6-core processor. And the benefit of the cooling design here is that you don't get the keyboard area and the ScreenPad area to be warm. So it feels more comfortable when you're using it, because obviously with the ScreenPad Plus, you will want to be touching the area. So probably you have seen this kind of design where the keyboard is shifted downwards in something like the Zephyrus, which uses top area for cooling, but obviously this is not possible with the ScreenPad Plus, and you get a pretty unique twist on the design. Now, adding to the cooling design of this laptop is the Ergo Lift hinge, which was introduced I think a few years back in their ZenBook lineup. It gives you a more comfortable typing experience with the tilt of the keyboard, but this one, it actually does even more by lifting up the bottom for more intakes. So I think that's pretty cool, and actually by the design of this laptop, the hinge definitely looks pretty impressive with the sharp edge pointing downwards and lifting it off the desk. But as I mentioned, it doesn't really seem to work that well, but yeah. So yeah, I already mentioned that the ZenBook Pro features the ScreenPad Plus, which is an upgrade over the ScreenPad, and also a pretty interesting implementation of Ergo Lift. And the third, probably the last thing that I see from ASUS implementing in this ASUS ZenBook Pro Duo is the number pad. So in previous laptops, you have probably seen the touchpad becoming a number pad. This time, it's almost the same. It's quite similar to how the Zephyrus uses it, whereby the touchpad is beside the keyboard, and this time the touchpad also changes into a number pad, but you can actually use it as a trackpad too. While touching away it doesn't trigger the numbers as easily. I would probably hope that it comes with haptic feedback in the next implementation, but this is perfect for like just when you need to key in some numbers real quickly. So how much does this ZenBook Pro Duo cost? This specification specifically costs RM12999, which to some I believe would be quite costly, but to be honest, I do find it worthwhile because of the way the software and hardware works together in this laptop. The ScreenPad Plus is definitely something new, and I would say definitely takes the whole technology to the next level compared to the first generation, which was kind of clunky. This time I definitely see myself using it a lot more. Not only for work, but also probably for games, whereby you can have streaming applications and whatnot on the secondary screen. And of course, for the hardware, I guess that's pretty much the money you have to pay for 4K panels on both the top and the bottom. So, would you buy it? I guess people who need a secondary display and find the value of having a display of this quality and this, this expandability would probably be finding this laptop worth paying for. So, I hope you guys have enjoyed this review, and thank you guys for watching. Subscribe to us to catch our next videos, and see you guys next time. Bye bye.